Alli, do you think you're still going to be coaching clients when you're close to 80?
Wow, Shawna, you think I'm still going to be working at 80? I hope I can if I want to. I don't know if I will be, but I have, after listening to our guest today, which I'm super excited, we're interviewing Sharon Rutherford, who is a client of yours, Shawna, and she is still working at almost 80 as a teacher, and she has been sticking with her fitness and movement for 60 plus years, which makes her super fit, even though she doesn't consider herself fit. So this is somebody we can learn how to do it from.
Yeah, I really think she is the rock star of fitness. And before we dive in, let's give a shout out to Miss Cindy Gibson. Thanks for listening. Now let's dive in.
Welcome to the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, where we dive deep into pressing health and fitness issues facing aging women. I'm Alli Kerr.
And I'm Shawna Kaminski. And together we'll bring candid conversations, expert advice, and personal stories that will inspire and empower you on your own wellness journey.
Sharon, I'm so happy that you took a chance with us to join our podcast. I know it's stepping out of your comfort zone. Welcome to the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast.
Thank you very much, Shawna, and it was nice to meet you, Alli, today.
Well, I'm super excited, and I have so many questions. I can't wait to get into this.
Sharon, we were just talking about how long we've known each other, which I think is verging on 30 years because you are a school teacher and I was a school teacher. And you've been a school teacher for 50 years and you still are teaching and you are turning 80 this July.
Correct. Yeah. I'm still teaching because I enjoy it. I still end up at the right school in the morning that I'm supposed to. And I like it.
Yeah. And you are, I mean, I've taught with you, like when I was teaching back in the day. We've been in the same school, in the same classrooms at times, and you know, it really is your passion. And what a gift it is to the kids to have you. I know that I know even my own children, you taught them as a guest teacher from time to time.
I did. And it's a joy to teach still and still enjoy it. So as long as I'm able, everybody says, why do you go? And I said, because I enjoy what the days that I go. I'm pretty fussy about the jobs that I accept. But so I have usually have excellent days.
Yeah. And, you know, when we were looking at having someone more chronologically advanced on our podcast, I thought of you. And one of the reasons I thought of you is, well, number one, you know, you've come back to coaching with me and you really inspired me. When we worked together, you know, we did a little assessment and now you're actually doing online workouts with me. But I mean, there's not very many people that are approaching 80 that are doing Zoom workouts and like, you know, workouts online and like.
Or workouts, period.
Workouts at all.
Let's be honest. I have one 82-year-old right now as a client. That's my only 80-something-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so tell us about your fitness.
I'd like to think myself as active more than fit because I've always been active, but I haven't delved into any one sport or maintained it, but I like to be active. I know I feel better when I'm active. I don't necessarily always want to be active, but I've never gone to an exercise session or gone biking or walking and regretted it. So I sometimes need a bit of self-talk to get myself out the door or in my running shoes, but always my head feels better, definitely, even if my body doesn't at the time.
When just before we started, you said, well, I feel a little bit like an imposter, or where was that conversation going? We stopped because we're like, hey, this is what we want to talk about on the podcast.
Well, I think about somebody that's talking about their fitness journey who has excelled at some sport or activity along the way. And I've never excelled at anything in particular other than perhaps consistency. And I went to a small high school where there weren't that many athletes that wanted to do sports. So I was on the basketball team and the volleyball team and the softball team, and didn't do much at university other than the regular phys ed classes, which I loved. And then raising three girls that were very active. I kept active with them and played some tennis, but I've never really, I don't know how to say it, I've never really felt that my fitness was, or that my activity was fitness. It was just activity that I like doing. So I don't know if there's a difference between being fit and being active.
When you think of being fit, what is your picture of what that looks like versus what you do?
Well, it looks like Shawna lifting those 2,000-pound barbells over her head.
Not 2,000 pounds.
or walking on her hands across a room. So that's what fitness looks like to me.
And I think you're not alone in thinking, and the vision of, and I think that's what we put out as, as fitness in the profession of fitness, maybe that's what fitness is. But I think that you are actually like the true, real picture of fitness.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And, when we were talking, I was mentioning that, you see all kinds of like fitness influencers maybe doing wild fitness feats or, winning things or accolades. And, they don't have 60 and 70 years of fitness behind them, though. I think that the true fitness guru is the person like yourself that is the champion of consistency. Because how many people do we know that will say, or could even be listening today to say, hey, I was super fit in high school and college, and then now I'm not. And somehow you managed to do that. So what was the secret to you being able to stay so consistent?
I think when I wasn't active, I really felt sluggish. And even if I had shoulder injuries or foot injuries or knee injuries that stopped me from being active, I could feel the difference in how I felt about things in general. And I think it sort of came to a head this time at Christmas time when I was with my family and the grandkids and my daughters were all so active. And I realized that was what I was missing again. And I just I had been away from it with these injuries for 2.5 years or maybe a bit more, with one after another, and decided I just had to do something about it. And I certainly have no regrets about picking up the phone and phoning you, Shawna, to get back in the stream of things.
Yeah. And I was, like I said, I was really impressed when we met, because I didn't want to just like throw you into something and online, because that was your preference. Is you said, hey, I just want to stay home. I want to work out at home, and which is a great option, because you knew yourself. You knew that that's what you wanted. That would help you stay consistent, is to not have to get in the car and drive somewhere. But I was really impressed with your kinesthetic awareness in terms of, well, I can do this, but I can't do that. And you've been really good about finding modifications. And I think that is maybe just from a history of movement. Do you think? I
think so. I think I've always had fairly good body awareness, and so as you said, I didn't feel like going Tuesday, Thursday, get in the car, go somewhere. I like the idea of turning on my computer and doing the exercise at 5:05 or 7:30 or 10 after 10 at my convenience. So that was really attractive, the online aspect of it anyway.
Yeah. How would you say that your consumption of fitness has changed over the years? Is that something that you like, the online option that you enjoy now? Is that something you would have enjoyed earlier in your life, or like how has fitness changed for you over the years?
Well, for one thing, it wasn't available online, so there weren't any options. If you wanted a fitness class, you walked or drove or got yourself to a gym or a fitness studio, and I think when I got back into fitness sort of thing down at Silver Springs, I think one of the things that kept me going were your outside sessions that we had for those so many times during the summer. I love the outdoors, and the fact that you could be outdoors at 6 in the morning or 6 at night on a yoga mat was really tempting. And then I just kept at it. And now the options are there. I don't know how busy in-person gyms are. Maybe online is where everybody's going. You probably know better than I on that aspect.
Well, I think the trend is to go back to studio, go back to more group settings, but there is a definite section of the population that, thank you COVID, has realized that training at home really works for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
We're going to interrupt this interview for just a second because we've got something we want to make sure that you know.
If you're struggling with your health, with your fitness, if you don't know where to start, or you know what to do and you're not doing it, we're here for you.
And all you need to do to get our help is to reach out to Shawna and I at our email, sapodcast23@gmail.com. And we're happy to help, and we will be in touch. Now back to the show.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said of wind chill of -46, and you're not getting in your car to go to the soccer dome or wherever we went those few times when it was pretty cold.
Yeah, I think if I lived in Canada, I would definitely have to exercise somewhere really warm and not get out in
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
cold. That would be rough. I want to
Yeah.
go back to when you were talking about your idea of what fit looks like,
Yeah.
and just for our listeners, what it just struck me when you were talking about that. One of the reasons that I think that people in the fitness industry and influencers, it's boring, or we think it's nobody's going to look at a video online about consistency, like just doing the same thing every day and then going back and doing it again and then going back and doing it again. Like, so I think and I think even before like Instagram and these things were popular, it was the same kind of thing. Like, we needed to create all this excitement and all this just super intensity or super feats to get it was more about getting attention. And I think now, unfortunately, we have this mindset that if you're not doing all these things, that you're not fit. But that consistency thing is so huge. I wish we could find a way to capture it. And I think this podcast is one of those ways to capture the essence of that and the amazingness of what you've done, which has been consistent and not doing all the crazy 3,000 pounds over your head.
That's right. Well, I do a lot of self-talk sometimes about things I don't want to do, which isn't necessarily fitness, but just things in general in life. And so I sort of choose something that I do want to do. And I think if I do the first thing for 1 hour, then I'm allowed to do the second thing for an hour. So it's sort of dangling the fitness carrot or the cleaning your house carrot in front of your nose and rewarding yourself justly afterwards.
So you make deals with yourself.
Oh,
it
I make
sounds like
a lot of deals.
I do that too. I'm glad to hear somebody else does that. So tell us, what does that look like with a fitness deal?
Oh, the fitness deal is tuning in a program in the morning, one of Shawna's 20-minute ones, and getting it done before I go to school, because I know I'll be tired if I'm teaching that day after school, and so then I can just curl up with my book when I get home.
Yeah, and I remember texting with you in the morning once early on, and you said, I'm going to do the workout because I think it was exactly that. Then I get to read my book, or
Yeah.
it was then I have a knitting project. I can't remember which one it was.
One or the other, it would be.
Yeah. And, James Clear book, Atomic Habits, he calls that habit stacking. I think it's James Clear that does that.
Oh.
And I mean, that's from an expert, like an expert. And like,
Yeah.
you're the expert, but this is like from a very, well-known book. And that is such a great way to get things done, is put the like, or eat the frog first. There's another book.
Yes.
Getting the kind of the unpleasantness out of the way. Not to say that your fitness is unpleasant, but sometimes that's not what you want to do first thing in the morning, but you do try and get it out of the way.
Yeah, I do. Well, I am a morning person. It's quiet, it's dark, it's cold, and why not do it? And then I pat myself on the back and have my breakfast and feel a bit smug.
And who doesn't want to feel smug by 8 a.m.?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? If you had any advice to more experienced women, such as yourself, in terms of, like, you have this long history of fitness, whereas, not everybody does, what would you say to them? Because it's never too late.
Oh,
But
no, it's not.
how would you encourage them? What would you tell them?
I think pick something that you enjoy. If you've never picked up a racket in your life, maybe pickleball isn't for you. If you've danced all in your teen years, maybe you would find a dance class that you liked, or even if it's as simple as just walking, just to try to pick the one thing you like, and with realistic goals in mind. I think a lot of people say, I have to get back exercising, and so they swing into some class that is 3 times a week, and they last a week and a half, and they realize they can't do an hour 3 times a week, and so they think they're a failure. Whereas when you started me back in January, I think those first workouts were 15 minutes, and I felt like they were short, but they weren't. They were attainable.
Yeah.
And I was pretty consistent, and I am still consistent with twice a week, and I should probably up it, but I'm now back walking as well. So
Yeah.
I figure that's my third activity of the week.
And, especially given the fact that you're teaching a lot, you are up and on your feet and mentally challenged like all day long.
Yeah.
That's a full day. And so for you to do a workout and a full day of teaching, that's a lot.
Well, but if I know I'm teaching a full day, I maybe don't do fitness that morning.
Yeah.
I do it on days when I teach a half day or not at all.
Yeah.
I have that choice. I'm very, very fortunate that way.
Yeah. Yeah. But even so, like you're getting a lot done in a day.
Yeah.
Week, and I agree that setting realistic expectations, even for someone half your age, a lot of people think, oh, I have to work out every single day. And
Yeah.
like, I always say, well, why don't you start out with, if you're doing no workouts a week, how about trying 2? And
Yes.
then
That's what you suggested for me.
yeah, but
And I thought I was going to do 3, and you said, "Oh, I think 2 is enough," and it was exactly enough.
yeah, and then if you get the third or the fourth one in, then it's a win. But if you only get 2 and you set your sights on 4, then you feel less than.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important to
So pick something you like, and realistic goals might be 2 things to start with anyway.
yeah. The other thing is that I think you are really wise to do is to not go it alone at this.
Oh, yeah.
at this point?
Well, I know myself well enough to know that I wasn't going to walk into the family room and pick up any weights and try to hodgepodge a workout together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's funny because of anyone that could do it, you would have a bit of a fitness, having the background, you probably could hodgepodge a workout
Yeah,
together.
I think I could now, but I still kind of I like the clock ticking there as to how many seconds I've done it and what's coming up next versus planning that myself.
Yeah, and I say this with ladies that come in that think, "Oh, I should be able to do this on my own," or "I'll just do it." They haven't been doing it at home, and they haven't been
Right.
doing it on their own. But they're like, "Well, I can," rather than pay Shawna or Alli or someone, I'm just going to do it on my own.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that for me, even as a trainer, I do best with a trainer.
Yes.
So kudos to you for recognizing that and putting that as a priority, because health and fitness that's one thing I'm gathering from what you're saying is you've made movement a priority.
I think so. I hope so. Anyway, I'm fortunate that I am healthy. For 79, I feel I'm very fortunate that I don't have major problems, and perhaps, well, or maybe more than perhaps, that's due to activity.
Yeah, I would say so. Here's a question that I struggle with, and that is the the problem of comparison, and not necessarily comparing myself to other people, and I think women are very guilty of this, is comparing yourself to your former self. Well, this is what I used to be able to do, or this is how I used to look. How do you manage that, or is that a problem for you?
I don't think it is as far as what I used to be able to do. I think I'm fairly accepting of that. Body image, I wish that I looked like I used to. I put on the pounds with my birth of my kids and never really took it off. So that would be a goal of mine, would be once I get back into routine, would be uh, some weight loss, a healthy weight loss. But I've tried it before and have had kind of minimal success. And yet I feel that I eat fairly healthy. So I'm not sure what the block is there.
So comparison isn't a huge issue for you. I'm
I
really
don't
happy.
think so. I could care less, sort of thing.
Yeah,
And do
yeah.
you think has that always been the case for you, or is that because some of my ladies tell me that they care less, as the years go
Oh,
by, that
that's
they
true. Yep, I
so
really,
So maybe
I
I
think
love it.
I care less.
yeah,
Something to look forward to that we just can't.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
one of my questions, and one of the things that I'm interested in learning from you, Sharon, is about. I look at it like the decades and just the different phases that we go through, and I think this fits into that conversation. Different phases that we go through. Can you speak to that, since you are in a place that I haven't been to yet? Shawna hasn't been to yet. You're almost 80, but I do think about those. When you're turning 20, when you're turning 30, when you're turning 40, 50, 60. Kind of those decade years. What are some things that you remember about the different phases that you have gone through, and just life lessons that you could share with us?
I'm not really sure. I didn't. It all kind of blurs together. Sort of
Mm,
after, I think, 40 to 70 kind of blurs together. And I would say in the last 5 years, the only thing that bothers me is that mobility. If I'm down on the floor with grade ones, the getting up is not as easy. And perhaps sets of stairs. I'm not as fast on the stairs, but I've kind of accepted that as that's what it is. And Shauna has got me doing things where hopefully my balance doesn't deteriorate and I can move safely. But as far as generation wise, I it's sort of all blends.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, kudos to you that you're getting down on the floor. That is something that I've had ladies come to me in their 50s that they cannot do anymore.
Well,
And
it's
yeah,
out of necessity because we have what they call lockdowns.
Oh, yes.
And and lockdown. And it used to be that you were allowed to sit on a chair, but which was fine, but has now been decreed that the teachers must actually physically sit on a chair. So they're usually pretty good about letting guest teachers know if there's going to be a lockdown, and I make sure that the spot where Mrs. R is going to sit is close to a table that I could perhaps lean on as I get up.
But we're
that's
practicing
Yeah,
without the table, right?
that's right. Yeah.
Practicing. And that's the thing, and that reminded me when we started working together. It's like I need to remind people, not people close to 80, people in their 50s and 60s, you don't really notice that you're pushing yourself out of the chair, or
Yeah.
you're using your hands to get up, or you're using your hands on a table to get up off the floor, or you're not even getting up and down off the floor. And
No,
that's
you
a
swell.
skill that it just kind of slips away. You don't really notice it.
I think the saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. Is certainly goes with mobility.
Yeah.
and I think that's such a big mobility is one of the things that Shawna and I know we think about it because we're wanting to get people more mobile and get our clients more mobile. But just as us just living our lives, as Shawna said, it's not only is it, if you don't use it, you lose it, but sometimes we don't even realize we're not using it anymore.
And that we've lost it.
And then we don't realize that it's gone. Like I have ladies that come in for their first session and they are just shocked because they in their mind could do this and this and this that they used to be able to do. And they are very disheartened when they learn for the first time because they haven't done these things that they in fact cannot do them. Things that they used to be able to do. And they assume that they can still do. And so mobility, that's interesting that is something that is kind of top of mind, it sounds like, for you now. What do we need to be thinking about when it comes to our mobility, Sharon, when we're in our 40s to 70s maybe?
I think just generally keep active, as I said, whatever it is. And don't be afraid to try new things. I don't mean necessarily sports, but perhaps generally lots of things. Give it a try. Like, what's the worst that could happen? As long as you're safe, you should be okay.
And I really like the attitude that you don't have to be good at something. You can just give it a try.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you don't have to be an Olympian. And the definition of activity can be expanded. A lot of times, it's downplayed that walking is, not good for you. Not good. Not that it's
not good enough. Not good enough.
It's not good enough. But the fact is if more people just got out after dinner and did a 15-minute walk, everybody would be a lot healthier for it. And it's just that consistency of doing that 15-minute walk after dinner or sometime during the day. Like I call you the everyday fitness hero or guru because you've just applied this so much over the years. I know that you said, hey, I'd like to lose a few pounds. Sharon, I know what you look like. I've seen you in person. You're beautiful, like you're not overweight by other standards.
Super fit, sounds like.
Yeah. But, tell us a little bit about nutrition and how you've managed to be in a healthy body at this age.
I've always been aware of healthy eating. I have my downfalls when it comes to eating, but with my husband having a heart attack, and I think that really brought to mind the need to eat more healthy, and it's just continued that I try to limit the things we shouldn't have. We certainly don't suffer at all. I certainly know how to break out and have chips or chocolate or caffeine or whatever the things that you're not supposed to have that week. But we're fairly consistent with. It was interesting when I came back with you in January, Shawna, to remember how important protein is and what a difference it makes when I because I'm now completely on board with protein all the time, even if it's just a little bit, but it certainly keeps you going.
Yeah. And you can support those muscles that get you up off the floor and
That's right.
balance you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, and this was exactly what I wanted to hear and wanted you to say, because I was pretty sure that this is how you lived your life in terms of not extremes. You have not been, oh, I'm on the keto diet now, and now I'm doing this, and now I'm never having wine or chocolate again. Like everything in moderation.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Because I had migraines in my younger and teenage years, I don't drink at all because it just plays havoc. So I don't drink. I certainly love chocolate, and I've never smoked. So I think those things are consistent with healthy
Yep.
living.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think it's just a case for moderation, and that if more people said, "Hey, I am going to have a few chips now. Oh,
Yeah.
and now I'm going to have my protein." Like a lot of times people text me and say, "Well, I'm just did my workout and now I'm having this mushroom and spinach omelet." Or like, so it's a matter of give and take in terms of we need supportive food, but we can't just have the chicken and broccoli, where there's always room for a few treats within within reason.
And I think another thing is that it's important to we all talk about eating healthy and we all talk about getting fit, but I think it's sometimes just getting started. Like isn't it like anything that you go to tackle, you avoid it and procrastinate and come up with excuse after excuse. And once you jump in and do a little bit, you think, well, that wasn't so bad. That was might have been even kind of fun. I think I could do it, but it's that darn first step or that first nudge that somebody gives you that
Yeah.
that gets you going.
I'm curious about your friends, Sharon. Like, what kind of do your friends that do you have like a group that you do any kind of like social things with, and what kind of activity level?
I have a couple of friends that I walk with, uh,
Okay.
more than anything, and that's it. I would like to get back playing tennis, but I think that ship might have sailed. But I should try pickleball because
You
that
should
is on the way.
definitely. You would
Yeah,
love pickleball. I definitely recommend trying pickle.
yeah.
As a
Well,
former tennis player myself,
oh, good. Okay. Well, I thought it was
you'll do
something that I
well.
might look for in the fall.
Yeah,
I
you'll
thought
do
we're
well since
walking
you
over the
play
summer.
tennis. You'll pick it up. You'll do really good at it. Tennis players
Oh,
do really well at pickleball.
well, it's certainly a hot sport right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and then it's something that you can do it in every phase of life, which is one of the things I like about it.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering because the reason I was asking about friends is sometimes people that are more active, they don't have a lot of friends that in their 80s and beyond, or close to 80, or even in their 70s, don't have a lot of active friends. So I'm glad to hear you've got some people to
Yeah.
walk with.
I do, and I have friends in Saskatchewan, good friends that are active in they do aquasize and cross country skiing and things, and they're quite astounded that I'm back doing exercises online. So I look forward to sharing some of them with them this summer when I see them at the lake.
Good. I think you told me that you said maybe you were trying to recruit one or two, and they're
Yeah.
just like they're just not. They're like, I can't handle either the technology or the thought of it. I can't remember.
Well, I think it was more the technology they would balk at. So
Yeah. If you had a wish for our listeners, Sharon, what would it be?
I wish that they would find something that they enjoy, take that first tiny step, big step, and see the rewards that they'll reap with it.
Alli?
My wish is that we will listen to what Sharon is saying about if you don't use it, you lose it. And we get to using it.
Yeah. And my wish is, I'm going to just piggyback on what you said, Sharon, about getting started. I do think that that is one of the hardest things. So set a realistic expectation and just get going. Maybe get some support along the way.
Thanks for listening. You'll find me, Alli, on Instagram at Alli Kerr Fitness.
And you'll find me, Shawna, on Instagram at Shawna Kaminski. Feel free to pop us a DM with questions and or feedback. If you're enjoying the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, please subscribe and share it with other health-minded women. Ratings and reviews are also much appreciated and help us get our message out to a larger audience.
Until next time, be healthy and be happy.